Shalom, friends, and thank you for being with me once again as we pause in our week for 7 minutes of Jewish Spirit. I've been away for the past 2 weeks as we've been celebrating Pesach, but now that Pesach is over and Passover has concluded, we have an opportunity to now understand, after Passover is over, a little bit about that journey that the Israelites took when they left Egypt and proceeded to Mount Sinai. You see, that journey that they took was a journey that was very special. It was a journey that would take them from slavery to a kind of ultimate freedom. But when they were in Egypt, when they were there in Egypt, preparing to leave slavery, they argued with Moses. They didn't have faith that what was going to happen would, in fact, bring them true freedom. They needed to do something on the way, and the sages were very understanding that as our people left Egypt and went to Sinai, they needed to prepare themselves to change themselves in a number of ways. And one of those ways that they needed to change themselves and prepare themselves was in their attitude and in their qualities of how they approach life. And so, over time, the sages, the rabbis who gave us our mystical traditions, instituted this practice where we count the days and the weeks between Passover and Shavuot. It turns out that it's 7 weeks, 50 days actually, but we count 49 days, 7 times 7, between Passover and Shavuot. And the way the sages would arrange this was that each week would have a particular quality to it. Each week would have a idea associated with it that we could work on in order to improve ourselves, just as the Israelites were improving themselves as they marched on towards Sinai. The first week, which was last week, was dedicated to the idea of loving kindness, of chesed. And this week, the week that we are in now, is dedicated to the quality of gevurah, which has a few different meanings. One meaning would be strength, and certainly the Israelites would need strength in order to manage this transition. And we need strength to manage transitions in our life as well. But in fact, there is another meaning to this idea of gevurah, and that is boundaries. Understanding how we use boundaries in our own lives to be able to have effective and meaningful lives. You see, one of the things that the sages understood is that without meaningful boundaries, we would lose ourselves. We lose ourselves in all the demands of things that are calling upon us and that are trying to take our attention, just as the yardmen outside this door are trying to take my attention away. We lose ourselves without boundaries that allow us to, in fact, be able to say no when no is the proper response, to be able to say yes when opportunities that are worthwhile and meaningful present themselves, to be able to say not now because it's beyond the boundary of what I am able to do or what is possible for me. And the way the rabbis understood is that each of these days of counting the Omer and each of these weeks, while we have this idea of boundaries and strength dedicated for this week, each day we combine that idea with other qualities, other thoughts of how, in fact, we are to behave. So we take the quality of chesed that we learned last week, of loving kindness, and we combine it with the idea of boundaries that we learned this week, and we realize that we are to create boundaries in our lives with a sense of loving kindness, a sense of what it means to extend our chesed or loving kindness to one another, and not just create boundaries that wall us off, but create boundaries that create love. Friends, I'm going to invite you to join me with the Mourner's Kaddish right now. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabam. B'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uv'yizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabam v'varach li'olam li'omei amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpoar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yidaleh v'yidalal shemed kudisha barichu li'ela min kol berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlomo rabba min shemaya v'chayim olenu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imramav hu ya'aseh shalom Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Thank you all for being with me, even despite the sound of lawnmowers outside my window, and I wish you all a great week ahead. Take care.